Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to pull out the core insights from complex texts and, well, make them useful for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're going a bit deeper, I think. Moving past the surface stuff.
Yeah, definitely inwards.
We're focusing on restoring those emotional, maybe spiritual wounds,
Yeah.
the ones nobody else really sees.
The hidden ones.
Exactly. Our source material today is some really interesting excerpts from The Hidden Wounds, Yahweh's Restoration,
Okay.
and our mission to really distill the core theology behind inner healing as presented there.
Got it.
Now, before we jump right in, we should probably touch on the language used in the source.
Oh, right. The name.
Yeah, it leans heavily on the original Hebrew names to keep that ancient context. So you'll hear Yahweh and Elohim for the divine.
And Yahshua for Jesus.
Precisely. We'll stick with that terminology for this deep dive just to stay true to how the source frames things.
Makes sense. And, the absolute core idea, the main thing the source hammers home is this. Yahweh heals the parts of us we hide.
The parts we can't or maybe won't show anyone else.
Exactly. And the scriptural backbone for all of this, the verse everything builds on, is Psalm 147, verse 3.
That really sets the stage, doesn't it? It makes it incredibly personal.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about just general spiritual upkeep here. This sounds like targeted internal repair work.
That's a good way to put it. Reconstruction, almost.
So we're going to pull out three key findings from these excerpts.
Okay.
First, why we need to see healing as a process.
Right, not an event.
Second, the importance of Yahshua's compassion, specifically for these unseen struggles.
That specific focus. Yeah.
And third, how real wholeness seems to connect to aligning with the divine purpose.
Okay, so let's start with that foundation you mentioned, Psalm 147.3.
Yeah, let's unpack that.
It says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds.
Simple, yet profound.
But the source really digs into that phrase, binds up. It argues it's not just about, comforting someone.
Not just a pat on the back.
No, it's active, it's mending. And it's aimed right at the internal damage, the soul's wounds.
Okay, so distinguishing it from, say, visible scars.
Precisely. It's about the deep stuff,
Yeah.
the internal framework that might have, collapsed under pressure, things others can't see.
That distinction feels really important. Because surface wounds, we kind of have protocols for those, bandages, medicine.
Right.
But these invisible ones, maybe from long-term stress or private grief or trauma, what do we do with those?
Exactly. And that leads perfectly into the big reflection question the source poses.
Okay.
And this is really for you listening right now to kind of use as a guide as we go through this.
All right, let's hear it.
Where in your life do you still need Yahweh's specific, invisible healing touch?
That's a deep starting point.
It is. It frames the whole exploration.
Okay, so moving into the first main point from the source material, this idea that healing is a process.
Yeah.
I think many of us, maybe subconsciously, we look for that spiritual silver bullet.
The quick fix.
Yeah, exactly. Say a prayer, expect everything inside to just snap back into place instantly. What does the source say about that expectation?
Well, it says that expectation is actually a huge obstacle.
An obstacle? How so?
It calls the whole idea of instant total healing a kind of spiritual misconception. Think about it if you have really deep structural damage inside, the kind of trauma that rewires how you operate.
Right, the really ingrained stuff.
It needs time. It needs careful, methodical rebuilding, not just a quick patch job.
Okay, I like that analogy. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. The source uses this image. Instantaneous relief is like trying to fill a massive pothole with just some loose gravel or dust.
It might look okay for a second on the surface.
Exactly. But the foundation underneath is still shot. It's still compromised.
Okay.
But healing as a process,
Mm.
that's like actually digging out the damage, laying a new foundation, layer by layer, properly rebuilding.
That takes time, effort.
It does. And understanding this difference is crucial. It shifts you from just chasing a moment of feeling better.
To committing to something more substantial. Sustained restoration.
Precisely. Hard won, often, but lasting.
Okay, so if it's a process and it respects the depth of the wound, that implies it could be long, maybe frustrating sometimes.
Definitely. Sustained effort is key.
So practically speaking then, how does the source suggest we tell the difference between real healing progress, even if it's slow, and just maybe spiritual busy work or distraction? Is there like a way to measure it?
That's a great question. And what's interesting is the metric isn't really about feeling better all the time.
Oh, What is it then?
It's more about consistency. It's about the willingness to stick with certain spiritual disciplines, specific tools the Source mentions.
Tools. Like what?
Things like consistent meditation on Scripture, being proactive about forgiveness even when it's hard, and having some accountability.
Okay.
The Source likens these to the specialized equipment you'd need for that foundation repair we talked about.
Right. You can't fix concrete with just a hammer.
Exactly. And if you ditch the tools because it feels too slow or too difficult, well, you basically guarantee the restoration won't complete.
So commitment to the method matched to the depth of the wound.
That's the idea. You
Yeah.
have to commit to the methodology that the internal damage requires.
Okay, that makes sense. But if we accept this is a sustained, sometimes difficult process, it raises another question, doesn't it?
Which is?
Well, am I alone in this? Does the healer, does Yahweh, does Yahshua truly get how uniquely painful my hidden wounds are?
The isolation aspect.
Yeah. Which brings us perfectly to the second big insight, the significance of Yahshua's specific compassion.
Yes. And the Source positions this compassion not just as general niceness or sympathy.
Or no, how then?
It's presented as targeted identification with that unseen struggle.
Identification, meaning understanding.
More than just understanding. It's like the text emphasizes again and again that those internal battles, the secrets you carry, the pain you never voice, it's all seen. It's validated.
So it's not just generic, I care about people.
No, it's specific. It's recognition that the healer knows firsthand what it's like to carry burdens no one else sees.
That validation you mentioned, that seems incredibly important. Because when a wound is hidden, you often feel like you're the only one.
Right. Or that your pain is somehow invalid or irrational even.
So the Source says this compassion specifically touches the unseen wounds. What does that mean, theologically speaking? Does it imply sharing the pain or just acknowledging it?
According to the Source, it's kind of both.
Both.
Yeah, it implies the healer sees right through the brave face, the outward appearance, and understands the pain underneath.
Sees the reality behind the mask.
Exactly. And that recognition is vital because, as the text points out, many deep spiritual wounds come from situations where you had to look strong on the outside.
While completely falling apart inside.
Right. So Yahshua's compassion basically says, the facade doesn't matter to me. I see the real devastation and it's legitimate. And that validation, that feeling of being seen and understood in your deepest pain, that becomes the emotional fuel you need
Fuel to keep going.
to sustain that long, sometimes difficult healing process we just talked about. It gives you the endurance.
Okay, so compassion provides endurance. But endurance for what? Where is this process leading? We're not just meant to endure pain forever. Right?
No, absolutely not. And that takes us straight to the third crucial finding from the Source.
Which is?
Wholeness. True wholeness comes when we align ourselves with Elohim's purpose.
Alignment with purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. We often talk about getting fixed, right? Which usually means going back to how things were before the wound.
Back to a previous state.
Yeah. But wholeness, the way it's used here, it sounds bigger than just not being in pain anymore.
It is. Much bigger. It implies full function, yes, but also redirection. A new direction.
Redirection.
Precisely. If you link this back to the whole restoration idea healing, the hidden wound has to lead somewhere purposeful.
It's not just about patching a hole.
No. The Source defines true wholeness not as just being scar-free, but as integrating those mended parts into something larger, into a divine plan or architecture.
Okay, can you give me that foundation analogy again in this context?
Sure. Once the foundation of the house is fully repaired and stable, you don't just leave the house empty. Right?
Bro, you live in it. Use it.
Exactly. You redirect the house, now that it has solid footing, to fulfill its intended function, serve its purpose.
So alignment with Elohim's purpose is like the framework that gives the mended parts stability and meaning.
That's exactly it. And the Source offers a really provocative idea here.
Oh.
It suggests that the wound itself, once it's healed, often becomes the very source of your unique ability to show compassion or your specific mission to help others.
So the wound isn't just erased.
No, it's transformed. The healing isn't just an endpoint, it's preparation. Preparation for purpose.
That's a profound shift in thinking. The wound isn't just fixed, it's almost consecrated for future use.
Consecrated, I like that.
But let's make it practical. What does this alignment look like day to day? Especially for someone still maybe in the thick of that painful healing process. Purpose can sound very abstract.
That's fair. The Source suggests alignment starts with a conscious shift away from total self-focus.
Which is hard when you're hurting.
Absolutely. Trauma often makes us turn inward, understandably. But the shift is towards outward contribution, even in small ways.
Even while still healing.
Yes. The source actually recommends actively looking for ways to use whatever parts are mended, or starting to mend, to serve others. Even small acts.
So it's proactive.
Very proactive.